Hey everyone, so I am back for part 2 of how to grout mosaic pendants, how I grout them. So you can see this is one of the pendants, and you can see it's messy, you don't see the glass very well, and so what we're going to do is we take a clean rag of some sort, and what I use is all recycled, like old sheets and things that have tears in them. So what you do is you very carefully take your clean schmata, as we call them. That's the Yiddish word for rag, and I'm very carefully wipe all the dried grout away from the pendant loop. That's the first thing I do to get it off of there so that it won't scratch or stain. And then I very carefully put the pendant down, and then I wipe, kind of rub it up and down, all while trying not to loosen any of the grout. And in fact, what I am doing is while I'm wiping, I'm pushing the grout into the corners of this piece. And so I'm going to demonstrate for you what the final part of this is. And you're going to see there's definitely grout. It hasn't completely dried. It's only sat for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes since I started. But you can feel that it's starting to change consistency a little bit and becoming drier. So here's the piece. And then I have a couple of tools. I have this dental tool, and then another tool that helps me kind of make sure that I'm getting all of the excess grout off that's on top of the glass, all while being careful not to pull out any of the necessary grout that's in between the glass pieces. And I'm just very carefully also looking to see, is there any dried glue? Sometimes there is, but you know, when you're using weld bond, which is pretty much what you want to use for non-glass on glass mosaics, the weld bond actually will come off when you lay the grout down, when you're rubbing the grout onto the piece at your initial placement of the grout. And so you can see that, like, this piece really is pretty much almost done. I'm going to let it sit for at least a couple of hours, and then I might give it another little clean up just to make sure it's nice and sparkly and you can see all the glass. And so I'm going to take this one's a little bit more challenging because I have some textured glass, so I'm definitely going to need my tool to make sure I can get that grout out of these ridges. I'm using a glass in here that has a beautiful texture, but it takes a little bit of challenge to get the grout out. So this one, I'm doing the same thing. I'm rubbing it. The circle is actually surprisingly a little bit harder to deal with than the other rectangular shape, just because there are more places for the grout to kind of get stuck in places where you don't want it. And so I've wiped off most of it. Let me show you. You can see. And then I'm just going to very carefully take my dental tool, just kind of give it a little tweak around some of the places. Here's a little trick. Not all glass is exactly the same height, same width and depth. So when you're making a piece, sometimes you might find that certain glasses set down lower than others, and then those are places where your grout can get, where you have to get the grout out, and rubbing it just won't get it out. You have to use a tool. And so I'm carefully kind of just making sure I'm not taking it out of where it needs to be, but allowing all the glass to be exposed. And in this piece, there's a little bit of glue that I'm picking off too. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit but you're really beginning to see what it's supposed to look like. And that is that. And I'll do one more for this video. This is a square piece. I use wonderfully handmade sterling overlay brass for my pendant blanks, the ones that are silver, and then my other ones are solid copper, also handcrafted. And again, we have one type of glass here that sets a little bit lower, so I'm going to use my dental tool just to kind of make sure I'm exposing all the glass, but without pulling it out of the seams in between the glass, which is, you really want to make sure you don't do that. So it takes a little bit of a delicate hand for sure, and I'm able to expose. This one's working really well because, again, square, just the pieces with straight sides seem to clean a little bit easier. This is the kind of thing that you just learn as you go along. I'm completely self-taught mosaic artist. I started back in about 2007. My mom had just passed away, and I had inherited a bunch of her china. Some of it was chipped, and my mother-in-law, Patsy, had died 7 years prior, and I had been saving some of the pieces of hers, totally different taste in pottery, and I knew I wanted to do something with them. So my first piece was a mirror that I used both moms' pieces as kind of an homage to them. And from there, it just took off. And, you know, everything I've learned has been pretty much just by doing. So, you know, the lesson of the story, or the moral of the story, is don't be afraid to try a new type of art. There's so much information out there now in terms of getting ideas or tips from other artists, so it can help you learn. But you know what? You learn best just by doing. So here we go. This piece is almost done, and it's looking really beautiful. So I'm going to show you these three pieces. Amazing. Here, let's see if we can get the camera on them. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Love and peace, and stay home, okay? Be safe, everyone.